Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nupur and I handle marketing for Zynaps. I have here with me Mike Ferguson, who is the Managing Director of Intelligent Business Strategies Limited. As an analyst and consultant, he specializes in business intelligence and enterprise business integration. With over 26 years of IT experience, Mike has consulted for dozens of companies on business intelligence strategy, technology selection, enterprise architecture, data governance, master data management, business process integration, and data integration. At the end of the presentation, you can type your questions in the question pane that you see below the presentation. There is a button with a question mark with a plus sign on the right-hand side. That's where you have to click to type in your questions. Mike will be our speaker today to cover accelerating ROI from your ERP investments, the master data management route. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Nupur. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to be with me today. I'm going to take you through some of the complexities that I'm seeing around the world and how I believe master data management can help speed up your ability to become more agile and integrated across your ERP systems. So if you are a tweeter, please feel free to tweet. You can see my Twitter address on there if you want to do that. So my topics for today are looking at initially the complexity around ERP systems and the processes that integrate with them. Looking at a general trend which I see, which is the globalization requirement, whether that happens to be done at a group of companies level which are consolidating around common processes, or whether it happens to be within a single organization. Either way, I see this requirement arising. And then I look at the sort of requirements around simplifying processing and the move towards common processes and common data, and how master data management plays a key role in that. And then I'm going to look at what kind of benefits that brings to one of those particular areas, particularly around materials and supply chain and procurement, which is the whole inventory management and supply chain management aspects of this. And then I'll look also at the fact that I'll show how master data management also makes a significant difference to not only your operational processes and improving those, but also the business intelligence and analytical aspects associated with analyzing that data to improve your decision making. Okay, so looking at it from a complexity perspective, what I see in a number of organizations that are either trading in a single country or trading across the world is considerable complexity brought about by the fact that multiple instances of ERP systems are deployed in those particular countries, or if you're working within a group of organizations, a group of companies, you may see multiple ERP systems at different line of business levels, for example, or across different companies within the same group. And therefore the challenges faced by that kind of approach to deploying is that multiple ERP systems cause a lot of duplication. There's a lot of the same data that resides in those systems across those lines of business or across those countries in which you may trade, and therefore processes that lead to ERP systems, whether those are back office such as procure to pay, or whether it's front office such as order to cash, those processes, generally speaking, end up being duplicated across the organization, and so there are potentially multiple variant ways of doing the same thing. And the result of that is that it often, these variances often drive up the cost of operating considerably beyond what a lot of organizations are comfortable with. And so getting hold of product data or materials data or supplier data is often quite difficult to see across the enterprise, and therefore manage supplier relationships, manage your inventory management. These kinds of areas become quite difficult to manage. Now, in addition to that, however, this complexity, at least from my consulting activities around the world, seems to span way beyond just ERP. It's happening across CRM systems, across so marketing, sales and customer service. It's happening across ERP systems, as I already mentioned. It's happening across operational systems that govern your fulfillment and your overall business operations. And so how we send data between these systems to keep them synchronized has grown over the years to look like a spaghetti ball. There's multiple copies of data. There's processes not particularly well integrated. There's different ways in which data moves between systems. And the overall complexity becomes potentially unmanageable, to the point where ultimately we have most of the budget associated with IT, or a fair chunk of it, going into just keeping the links between systems working. And any new upgrade or release of an application involved in that will often cause a break in those links and force a maintenance cost to be increased in order to fix those links, in order to keep the business operating smoothly. So that complexity is very significant. And yet these businesses that have this kind of setup are under pressure. They're under tough economic climate right now around many parts of the world. And so every opportunity to cut cost is definitely being looked at. Simplification is definitely being demanded by business. Chief executives are looking at the potential capability that the web can bring them by allowing them to globalize, to simplify, and bring an organization into common processes, into common data, in order to reduce risk, in order to allow scalability at a lower cost across the globe, in order to remain compliant, and in order to be able to keep control of costs and see single views of suppliers and materials and customers. And these initiatives are all enterprise-wide, and yet what we often see is that ERP systems tend to be line of business focused in a lot of organizations. So when you look at the complexity that we currently have, even though a business is crying out for simplicity, changes to something as simple as master data can cause major problems across a company's operation. Master data is, of course, data that's shared quite widely throughout core business processes. So updating materials data, updating or adding a new supplier, adding a new product, and the bill of materials associated with that, and keeping that data synchronized across the globe in different ERP instances, or across a group of companies, or across different lines of business within a single company, can be very, very challenging and cause inconsistency, which can delay operations. It can ultimately cause dissatisfaction amongst customers, because the knock-on implications of that are that we can end up with delays in our production processes that mean that product is